I've been reading a lot of articles and like hearing a lot of things that just kind of remind me why this club exists and why we started it in the first place. Have y'all heard about the desegregation in Mississippi schools, like in a Mississippi school district?
Recent?
Yeah. It's very can I pull up an article?
Sure.
Okay. Were any of you at the race forum last week?
Last Wednesday.
Yeah, last Wednesday. And that was one of the things we talked about was the uneven allocation of resources within our school district with predominantly minority schools. Well, one of the girls said predominantly minority schools receive less funding. She said our textbooks are falling apart and things like that. But if you go to a school like West Forsyth that's predominantly white, they have more funding and they have more resources and things like that. And there were people, of course, who were saying, you know, it's not about race, that's just how it works, whatever. My sister went to West Forsyth and so did my older brother, and they were telling me like when West gets new TVs, their old TVs go to Atkins and other schools like that. So y'all know I think it's about race. But you know, you can have your own you can have your own opinions on that, but you know, you still have to look at that type of thing, and that's a social injustice, and that's one of the reasons that this club exists, to fight things like that.
Tripp Jeffers, and I'm a history teacher and history and philosophy teacher at Parkland High School.
Okay, I am Nani Egbuna. I am the president of the Mandela Society.
My name is Gemma Johnson, and I'm at Winston-Salem State University.
The last year and a half have been some tough times nationally and dealing with some issues of race, I believe. I try to interject those current events into my own classroom, starting with Ferguson and stretching all the way to Baltimore and Charleston. So I think that the students knew that I was familiar with those types of concepts and was willing to talk about the racial discord in our society and how to address that somehow.
A lot of us shared the experience of struggle when it comes to being a minority population, but we didn't have anywhere to talk about it, and we lacked that kind of safe haven that is needed to talk about things like this. And so I just saw a need for the club, and so I came to Mr. Jeffers and we put it together.
They even had some bad experiences in some other classrooms. And so Nani came to me and asked if I would be willing to sponsor a social justice club. Actually, she came to me and asked very specifically for a club to discuss race matters.
I was in a class that is supposed to be geared towards controversial discussion, and that's just not how it was going last year. The teacher wasn't very responsive when it came to our feelings and our opinions, especially on the subject of race. And there was one discussion where the teacher was actually telling students to shut up and kicking students out of the classroom for sharing their opinions. And I, along with a very large percent of my classmates, we were all very upset about that. And so we were like, we have to be able to talk about this.
The juniors, they really agitated for it and felt really passionate about it with discussions they had had in class, and wanted another outlet to really discuss and put that more into a program, something we could do.
I thought he would be a little more apprehensive about starting the club, but Mr. Jeffers, if you know him, he's not afraid to, you know, start stuff and make waves, and he was pretty excited about it. So
this strange convergence of events taking place at the same time that coincided with the creation of the club. We had a librarian at the time who had organized a field trip for as many students as we could take, and filled up one of the local theaters to watch Selma. We took 2 different loads of students on 2 different days. I think it was a total of 200 students to see Selma. I took 80 of my own students to see Selma, and it was a very, very moving experience.
There was,
and we had been
from at least some of the staff at Parkland, there was a negative response. I don't think people were very open to the idea of us talking about these things in school, just like, you know, that teacher. There were people who agreed with that teacher that this wasn't the place for it and everything. And so we got that response from staff members, like, why are they doing this? Why are they making waves? Why are they just trying to start things and things like that? And from students, we got a lot of the same reaction. I think a lot of students were like, you know, I'm not sure how to feel about this. I'm not sure if I can share my opinions with them, or they may be a little too radical for me and everything. And then there was the morning after our first meeting, Mr. Jeffers' door was vandalized.
And as Nani said, the next day, students had taken some of those same signs and vandalized the door with them, communicating their own political thoughts, but doing so anonymously rather than entering into the club and engaging with others and having a conversation about it.
The day before, we had taken pictures holding Black Lives Matter signs, and a student had posted the Black Lives Matter signs and crossed out black and written all, and that's just a whole nother debate, all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter, and, you know, all different races and ethnicities and everything. And there was a letter saying Mr. Jeffers was like promoting black supremacy and stuff, which doesn't exist, by the way, and things like that. And so it was just that reaction was very troubling to us, I think. Well, it was definitely troubling to me because I wanted, even though I'm not a very like kumbaya person, I think I expected a kumbaya response, and that's not what we got. And that's something we've had to face, but I think it's made us better. And because we're gonna go into the real world, I'm gonna go to college next year and face the same type of thing.
Well, I first just explained like Black Lives Matter, what that whole phrase means, because I think that's what people don't understand is that it's not talking about black supremacy, it's saying that Black Lives Matter because they're being treated like they don't.
I think the immediate goal was to provide a safe space for students to come and talk about issues that were on their hearts and minds. And we accomplished that very quickly. And they were able to come and they were able to talk about these issues.
My first year at Parkland. And when I first came, they were telling me like different clubs to join and stuff like that, because of course like you want to be like a well-rounded student and stuff. So I heard about this one. When I came, like immediately I saw how serious like Nani and all of the other officers are taking it. So it automatically, when you come in, it makes you feel like, okay, well, like this isn't just some after school special, like we really mean what we're talking about.
When I was with the club when Nani started it, and she was talking to me about starting it and everything, but I just thank the club for informing me on a lot of current events and topics over the last year and a half. And me and many of the officers, we don't just talk about it in here, we talk about it in the classroom every other day.
I really enjoyed it because I remember the first day I could come in here, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a new club, let's see, try it. Because I heard about it last year and people was like, don't join that club, it's like really not, you know, interesting and stuff. So I was like, well, let me go try it for myself. And so I did, and I was like, I enjoyed it, like, because we talked about different, like, politics, and I'm a big politics fan, like, really brought out about race, like, a lot of people don't know about. And I, like, can remember going home, like, Mom, this is what happened, da 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 da.
I used to not really be aware of this stuff. I was just oblivious white guy, and I kind of started coming into being more aware of this as it's become more of a national conversation. And so I'm glad that instead of simply reading about it in the papers and just being a bystander and not doing anything, this offers me an opportunity to in some way feel like I'm helping to make a difference.
Provided me with so many opportunities to be vocal and express my opinions, as well as learn through other people's opinions, y'all's opinions on different types of issues and everything. So yeah, this club has been such a great opportunity for me.
And for me, the Mandela Society is a way that I can express what's going on in the Hispanic community, because normally people don't pay attention to those things.
And to find ways to talk to people with whom you disagree very strongly without it being a screaming match, without it becoming overly emotional, to talk about it philosophically, intellectually, to provide reasons.
I think that we're more tolerant of alternative lifestyles and things like that. But I would agree that we're also increasingly sensitive when it comes to things like that. And I'm on Instagram, and a lot of like the pages I follow are related to social justice and feminism and things like that. And people want trigger warnings all the time. If you're gonna talk about anything that may offend me, even in the slightest, you have to say trigger warning, or I'm about to talk about this or whatever. And I just think I think it's ridiculous. And I think that we are very sensitive for no reason, and we're afraid to hear different ideas, and we're afraid to engage with people who disagree with us.
Came to me and talked to me about the club. I said, "Why are you coming to the middle-aged white man?" Started a club on racial harmony and social justice, but it makes me feel accomplished that that she felt comfortable, that you feel comfortable talking about these things, as difficult as they may be for some other people. They are not difficult for us to talk about because we open and we love each other and we want to make a difference.
And it's very easy to feel alone when you care so much about these issues and when you're so passionate about these things. And you look around and you're like, why don't y'all care? Like, this is happening to you, this is happening to your brothers, your sisters, your moms, your dads, and things like that. And it's very, very easy to feel like, oh, there's nobody with me on this. But we come here on Tuesdays and Thursdays and we see that there are people who are with us, there are people who care just like us.
They are mature far beyond their years, and there are many grown-ups, as we know, who not only don't want to talk about these difficult issues, but who don't do it in a very mature way. We may see that this year. We have seen that this year in the presidential race. So they're special to me, and it's a little bit of a dichotomy. You feel so proud of what they've accomplished and the attention that they've garnered because of their work with this club and establishing this forum here in this school and being successful and moving on to college. You want that for them. At the same time, they've been a very important part of your life, and the other side of that sword is that you miss them.
I feel like the grown-ups, they haven't done much to progress. Obviously, my generation is gonna have to step up and cause a change, you know.